later in life, when I had more resources, now I started to recognize the benefit of making the investment in really skilled people who they'd invested the time, they had figured it out, and now they were able to condense that down and pass that knowledge on to me in a more condensed manner.
Good morning. Welcome to another Motivational Monday. My name is Matthew Hodge, Executive Vice President here at LPT Realty. I'm joined by Robert Palmer, Founder and CEO. We are joining you from LPT headquarters here in Lake Mary, Florida. Good morning.
Good morning, man. How we doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
I got to give a quick shout out real quick to Michael Valdez. He had his birthday last week.
He did.
Looks like you guys enjoyed a dinner. I didn't get the invite. Thanks.
Yeah.
I missed that. I saw the photos. It looked like you guys had a great time.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, like you weren't invited. I'm happy for him. He was actually here in Orlando, so I got a chance to give him a big old hug for his birthday, brother. So happy birthday. But we're going to go ahead and jump right in. We got a lot of stuff to cover. I wanted to ask you some questions. So we're going to go through these things a little bit more organized. But real quick, just to give, to set the backdrop, we've always talked about the places where you found the most inspiration. Like you said, hey, I did not take any money out of the business until I had a certain amount. I always invested back in. And so you equated that to marketing and all these hard things that people find difficult to do. But on the personal side, you also made investments in understanding software or buying equipment that help you go fast. You made investments to yourself personally. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. But before we do that, I just want to understand what in your arc, at what point did you feel like that was needed? Was it like when you were very first started, were you having some success? Like at what point did you recognize you had to start investing in yourself?
I think early on I was young and dumb and thought I knew everything and, didn't really focus on that and just muddled through it. I think we hit a point in maturity, you hit a point in business. I think you hit a point where you have a lot of people counting on you. And I think it's, you start to realize like, hey, I could actually do something substantial here if I get serious about it. And I think we have a lot of amazing agents and team leaders that are at that point of like, wow, like I'm surviving the bust. I'm doing really well. What can I accomplish if I get really serious about my skills, about my knowledge, about my craft, about building my business? And, so for me, that happened in my kind of mid-20s, I started RP funding at 27. I was probably 24, 25 when I started here. And I'm glad I did, because when the opportunity presented itself, when the subprime crash happened, and again, like luck, preparedness, crisis, all these things work together. I found myself in a massive bust and I was ready for it. During the boom, I had been preparing for that bust without really realizing it. Now I'm very purposeful about it. But I think being ready and being able to take advantage of that. But a lot of it was that last couple of years before opening RP funding, when I was working for the company that purchased my first brokerage, I was really very focused on learning new skills and honing my craft. And it's when I got really serious about marketing and marketing psychology, and probably every book I read during that window of time was related to business psychology, marketing psychology, growth, success. And I was just really focused and honed. And so when that next boom came, coming out of the financial crisis, I was ready to capitalize on it. Again, didn't understand that concept yet. Wasn't being purposeful to say, hey, in a bust, prepare for the boom, in a boom, prepare for the bust. But as I look back on my life, so much of it was driven by that. And then there are other windows of time when I was not living by that, and I was in the boom, banking on a bigger boom, or I like to call it drinking my own Kool-Aid, like believing I had solved the world's problems, which we've all experienced, right? If you were in this business 2020 and 2021, it's like nothing could go wrong, right? I mean,
everything works.
Hey, like whatever we're doing, I am a real estate genius. I'm a mortgage genius. Like everything is working is how I think a lot of people felt. I was at this arc where I knew better. And so I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop and just ready. And so I think, again, these are the things we go through. This is how we grow and learn as leaders, and this is what drives some people to build very big businesses and other people to just kind of hang out and get comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think the biggest enemy to massive success is when you do get comfortable, because now it's harder to do the tough things. It's harder to make the sacrifices. It's harder to make that investment in growth because, hey, I've kind of done it. Like I've achieved my definition of success. The question then becomes, does my definition get bigger? And do I push myself to grow and learn and expand to succeed under a bigger definition of success, or do I just kind of hang out where I am? And again, there's no wrong answer to this. That's the beautiful thing about our entrepreneurial society is we really get to make that decision.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think when people hear us talk about individual definition of success, and we say, hey, that may be 4 houses, that may be 2,000 houses, we're not saying do not be skilled if, let's say, 4 houses is your definition, not to be the best that you can be or to hone your skills to make that the best 4 transactions that you can. We're not talking about watering that process down because the volume may be lower. What we're saying is that you still want to hone your skills, and how you choose to utilize that skill is still up to you. And so I guess I'm going to parlay this into like a bigger question now, is that thinking about you were investing in equipment, you started to understand like, hey, I'm reading books and maybe those are smaller investments. At what point did you start to make bigger investments in education? Like say attending conferences, like how we have FallCon, for the people who are looking at that and saying, hey, I don't know if this makes sense for me. How would you recognize, how would you, I guess, help that person understand the value of investing and getting that type of information and to prepare for the bust?
Yeah, so I think that happens at all levels. Like I think the investment of time joining us for Motivation Monday every week. I mean, that's a great example, right? We have, whatever is about a third of the brokerage that logs on to Motivation Monday, either live or on the rewatch, which means about 70% of the brokerage does not. Motivation Monday has no cost. It's a cost of time. We recognize that time is a value. Time is maybe one of the most valuable things we have because it's something we can't make more of. We can go make more money. We can't make more time. And so, as we think about that, and it's why we try to condense this down, try to bring you everything you need. If there's nothing else, if this is the only 30 minutes a week you're going to get toward growth or toward focus or toward, improving your skills, we want to make Motivation Monday valuable. But on the flip side, there are those bigger investments, going to conferences, buying, I guess seminars or the courses. Like the way I always thought about the courses that I would purchase is somebody else took that time to figure it out and distill it down. And now I get to take the shortcut. I get to, instead of investing the time, I'm now going to invest the money. And this is the decision you make. Do you spend the 10,000 hours yourself to figure it out and try to become an expert in it? Or do you go, buy a course or get training and take the skills on from someone who has made that investment? This happens in real estate teams, right? Join a real estate team so you can learn from that person who made that investment of time, and now you're making an investment of money. And so I think for me, that was kind of a transition point. Is early on, it was the investment of time, figure it out. I've told this story about when I taught myself to write software, and I went down to Books A Million, and I bought books on it, and I muddled through it because I didn't have the financial resources at the time to go invest in the college courses or, whatever else may have been available to me. So I got the books and I muddled through it and I figured it out. Later in life, when I had more resources, now I started to recognize the benefit of making the investment in really skilled people they'd invested the time, they had figured it out, and now they were able to condense that down and pass that knowledge on to me in a more condensed manner. I'm now trading dollars for those shortcuts instead of time. And look, at the end of the day, there's no real new ideas. I mean, we talk about this a lot. Like, there's no real new ideas. You can educate yourself. Like information is widely available. It's been that way. It's even easier today, right? I had to go down to a bookstore and I had to go buy books. Today, you could just go on YouTube, go on the internet and find lots of free courses. But the problem is you're going to have to invest the extra time, where I think the goal of making an investment in an expert or training or having someone teach you outside of those free resources is then the shortcut of time. And so for me, that's the trade-off we all make, is how much of my education and my personal growth do I want to come from the investment of time, and how much of it do I want to make through the investment of money? And the two accomplish different things.
Yeah, I guess that sets the stage. We're going to learn from your 3 certifications at FallCon. $150 million spent in advertising. Feel like you got to know what's happening at that point. Thousands of hours of research. The fastest growing brokerage that has ever existed. And the principles that you're going to be teaching are basically levers that you use in some degree to build the brokerage. And now we're passing that on to our entrepreneurs. So do you kind of want to walk us through each certification and maybe why it's important to prepare for the
yeah big? I think it's kind of crazy. I mean, you think about what we've been able to accomplish at LPT, and again, and this was, for me, this is a culmination of a lot of years of trial and error and success and failure. And again, I invested the time, right, to figure out like, hey, how do we really scale this thing? How do we how do we take a brokerage to top 10 in the US in just 3 years? And now, again, I think we're going to be number 6 once this big merger goes through between Compass and Anywhere next year. And then continue to grow from there, right? I've got my sights set on number 1. The volume to get to number 1 just got a little bigger with the Anywhere Compass merger,
Right.
but we're not going to back down. And so the lessons and all of the knowledge, and there was nowhere to go. There was no place to go acquire that one, right? That knowledge had to come from learning and being in it and gaining that experience, because no one had ever done it before. There was no model we could just look at and say, oh, well, okay, well, that's how this brokerage got there in 15 years, and that's how this brokerage got there in 10 years, and let's build something very different and take it there much faster. And again, the ideas of agent choice and everything else. And so I think about all that. And then, yeah, we got FallCon coming up, which I took, I got excited about this. When we first announced this on Motivation Monday, maybe 2-3 months ago now, the idea of the certifications, I kind of realized that I had a calling. I had almost an obligation to take all of that information, the advertising information, the AI that we've been super ingrained in all the way back to 2022. Like, we were doing AI before AI was cool. I mean, we were doing forms of AI back in 2015 and 2016 with listing power tools and homevalue.com. And we just didn't call it AI back then, but it's the same,
Right.
it's the same code bases. It's the same transformers that are part of GPTs. I mean, it's all the same types of stuff. And so we were doing AI before AI was cool. And so, again, this idea that I'm going to be able to take that, and I've been able to distill it down to save somebody those hours, to let them make that investment, to say, you know what, I'm going to make an investment of time and money. I'm going to go to FallCon. I'm going to give up 4 days of my life and, a little over $1,000, and I'm going to get access to these 3 certifications, the workbooks, the ready ups that we're putting in place for the boom. Like, that's really exciting for me because it's something very unique to us, and it's unique content. And again, for the folks who, almost 1,000 folks who are interested in taking advantage of that, I'm proud. I'm proud of the work we're doing there, and I'm excited. It's very cool to be building something where we can make that type of investment. And when investment in you, and you're investing in us. And when I look at the other kind of bigger national brokerages, they really didn't do this. They didn't take that responsibility seriously. And so, again, I think it's really neat. And just one more example of how LPT is doing things differently. LPT is setting agents up for success in a different way than what the industry has traditionally done. The industry has traditionally just been a lot of, hey, welcome aboard, go figure it out. Yeah. And, we're trying to change that dynamic, embracing choice, and again, using our scale, the fact that we see so many transactions a month and we see what's happening and working in real time. And I see it across my different businesses. And again, the marketing drivers that I'm very connected to, all of that gets distilled down into what's going to be an absolutely amazing event coming up at FallCon. Yeah, so yeah, awesome. Man, I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm excited to be on that stage. We've got some amazing agents and special guests that are going to be a part of it with us. But it's coming up, and I'll tell you this too. It's interesting. And look, I do value all of y'all's feedback. Like, that is very clear. And so we're making a little change here, because what I recognized is that my vision for FallCon, which is completely focused on helping you do more business, right? Helping you hone these skills, helping you walk out of there with these ready ups and this playbook to be ready for the boom. Because as I've said many times, I believe this will be the biggest boom we've ever experienced. Going from 4 million home sales, I think we're going to take off like a rocket back up to at least 5.5. I mean, again, there are so many consumers waiting on the sidelines for rates to come down to this number in their mind. And so I've been solely focused on that. Mm-hmm. And so what I've heard from a lot of feedback is, there's folks that are like, hey, Robert, like, that's great, but, we just want a place to like introduce people to LPT, and we want to be able to go network and hang out. And so again, I was very, very focused on the certification. So we can throw those up, Davey. I want to go through that real quick. So again, my vision for FallCon is, 1 ticket, 3 growth certifications, unlimited upside. I've said this a couple times. We're not hosting an intergalactic kegger. We are driving value to $7,500 worth of value in certifications. These are going to be sold next year through AIU, but we're making them available to our amazing LPT agents at no additional cost for a part of that $1,099 a ticket to FallCon. And so this was the vision, right? It's about driving access to amazing information to help you drive your business. So the hotel increases prices. Matt Levy negotiated an amazing rate. I know some other companies are having a conference there, and they did not have as good of a hotel rate as we did.
They're 300 plus.
Yeah, so we negotiated an absolutely fantastic hotel rate. Our tickets, so I did the pay at closing offer because, again, I wanted to make this available to as many people as possible while still staying focused on this original mission of driving what I think is going to be the most impactful educational event that our industry has seen probably in the last decade. So today's the last day to get the $1,099 price. There's no more pay at closing available. After today, the price goes up to $1,399 because now we got to rush print your books and everything else. And again, it's a lot of extra stress on us when people wait until 15 days before the event to register, but we know that is going to happen. I did listen to our folks, and people wanted more than just this. They wanted more than just the educational event that we are doing at FallCon. And so we've made this last minute addition to take that pink room over there next to it and turn it into what I am calling the Ascend Expo. All right. And so for folks who don't want to be a part of FallCon, they don't want the certifications, they're not interested in the education, but they still want to hang out in Orlando and be able to network. Or more importantly, one of the things I've heard a lot is I want to be able to introduce other agents to LPT's tools, LPT's culture. We are setting up the Ascend Expo in order to facilitate that. So FallCon, we all know what that is. That's October 15th through the 18th, 4 days to be in community, the in-person influencer system, the price point step-up system, the AI Advantage system. We're doing 3 meals in there so we can get maximum education done without having to send people out into the world too much. State of the Brokerage report, special guest speakers, hours of breakout sessions, limited tickets available for that. We are now adding the Ascend Expo, which will be 2 days, the 16th and 17th in the pink room, and this is going to be free for all agents. All right. So again, if you didn't feel comfortable making the investment in FallCon, but you still want to come to Orlando and you want to be a part of this Ascend Expo, 2-day expo. All right, this is not the certifications. This is not all the education. This is basically a big expo. But one of the cool things we are going to have in there is a product demo mini stage. So we're going to have a little mini stage in that room where we're going to have people talking about LPT products. All right. And, all of our amazing stuff and listing power tools and buyer power tools and all the stuff we do in vendor network. So again, the blue is our FallCon, all the breakout rooms. We got that VIP area in the middle. We're going to do the general sessions in there. This is for everyone who purchased a FallCon ticket. And then we're adding on the pink Ascend Expo, which is going to be a big vendor hall now, right? And there's going to be a stage in there doing LPT product demos. We're going to have like 10 booths in the vendor hall dedicated to LPT products. All right, we've got a lot of other great folks coming in too. So again, if you've got an agent who wants to come somewhere, low pressure, touch and feel and see a power pack or understand our listing collections or understanding the luxury tools, we're going to have this Ascend Expo, which is a 2-day free event going on next door to FallCon.
Left-hand side, pink. I'm going to go there. I'm going to learn about LPT tools. Maybe I've just recently joined. I want to see these things in real life. Maybe I've got someone who wants to know more about LPT. Great place to take them. Or I just want to be in community and get a little bit of culture and rub elbows with some people. I'm in the pink room. But then I want to invest in the education. I want to go through the certifications. I want to do all of that. Then I'm going to be in the blue area. So the pink does not provide access to the blue area. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. So anyone can come to pink area, but if you want the full thing, then you'll have access to both the blue, where education is, and then also pink for community.
That's right. And so originally we were going to have like a small expo, like, I don't know, 10 vendors, 15 vendors, like really small. We were going to do it in that back room down there at the bottom. I think it's called like Honolulu. You can see a kind of bigger room in the blue. That was the original expo hall.
Okay.
And so it was going to be small. And so, but again, realizing what people want and kind of where we are, we made the decision to add on that big pink room now. And so now we're going to do a massive expo. And so one of the big things is we're going to set up 10, maybe 12 LPT booths inside of the expo.
Okay.
So again, we're going to have a listing power tools booth and a luxury collections booth and a LPT plus booth and a team growth booth and a buyer power tools booth and all that. So we're going to be a big chunk of it. And the old Listing Power Tools booth is massive. It wouldn't even have fit in that first room.
Right.
I mean, this thing is absolutely it's huge, right? And so that, and then we've got our national vendors who are coming in. But because of this bigger room now, we've also got an opportunity for more small business vendors to come be a part of the Ascend Expo. This is cool. So I talked about this a lot. I've always felt like I wanted LPT to really help that next entrepreneur, that person who like wants to make it happen. And so our expo sponsorship started at $2,500 because, again, we were trying to keep it small. Now that we're going big, this expanded expo has made room for 50 new vendors. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do expo scholarships for small businesses recommended by LPT agents.
Awesome.
So if you have a friend who's a small business in real estate who can benefit from being here, we're going to scholarship them in the form of a big discount from the $2,500. Now, let me give you a couple of things. Your national mortgage company buddy doing a couple billion a year is not a small business, right? National title underwriters are not a small business. National tech vendors for real estate agents are not a small business, right? I'm talking about your local vendors, your local partners who can't afford $2,500 to come be in this room. That's what you got to think about. I bet we're going to have 2,000 to 3,000 agents come through this free expo over those 2 days, because we've already got all the folks that are coming to FallCon who are going to make their way over there, because we've got some strategic breaks to go to what was going to be the small expo, and now they're going to be able to go to the big expo. But you're talking about 2,000 to 3,000 agents, and a disproportionate number of them will be here from Central Florida because it's easier to travel. And we are the #1 brokerage on the I-4 corridor by agent count. We have more agents on the I-4 corridor than any other brokerage in Central Florida. And so we're going to have 2 to 3 agents coming through there. And so again, if you've got a small business that you want to recommend for us to scholarship to highly discount that expo sponsorship from $2,500 way down to where small businesses can afford it, I want to put 50 more vendors in the room, and this event is 2 weeks away.
Right.
And so I understand, like, this is normal crazy RP. Like, hey, we're having an event in 2 weeks. Why don't we double the size of it so that we can maximize the value we deliver to our agents? And you know, again, there's no other way to approach this. Most CEOs would have been like, absolutely not. We've been working on FallCon since March.
Yeah.
There is no way we're going to add a second massive room and blow this thing up. If you've got a team and want to have a booth in there, I think it's a great way to meet agents. Again, teams, absolutely small businesses that can qualify for those scholarships. Again, this is who we want to take care of. So we're adding this massive thing now. And so I'm taking an event that was going from solely educational focused for 1,000 agents, and now we're going to turn it into, in addition to that, a 2,000 to 3,000 agent expo hall. This will probably end up being one of the biggest expos in Central Florida for real estate. I mean, like, big, because we're massive here, and we're going to blow it up. And so if you've got somebody that you want to recommend, you're going to scan that QR code. And then Tracy also put the link in the chat, that forms.office.com/random letters and numbers. You can click on that in the chat, or you can scan the QR code, because I'm going to add 50 more vendors to this room on top of all of our stuff, on top of all the existing national vendors that we had in place, so that we can have this amazing expo going on next door to FallCon. So again, anybody who wasn't interested in the certifications and the educational content can come through, and they can run into LPT staff, and they can bring other agents who may be interested in learning about LPT. And it's basically a giant LobbyCon going on the Thursday and the Friday. So FallCon is 4 days. The Ascend Expo will be the 2 days in the middle, Thursday and Friday. And if you're going to come in for those 2 days, grab a hotel room. We put out a great price with the hotel. I mean, staying in Orlando for $239, if you can get it in today, is crazy. Yeah. So anyway, so that is my big news today. We are running this Ascend Expo free to any agent to come through. Great opportunity to meet amazing vendors that will have been recommended by our LPT agents, but also touch and feel and see what LPT is all about. We will have massive representation of all of our tools. You know, there's probably going to be like 10 tables set up with power packs. Think like Apple Store. the way Apple Store has, we're going to have that section set up with power packs on it and active marketing plans and 9 critical questions. And we'll be doing mini demos of all of our stuff there in the expo. While meanwhile, everybody is next door that's got a FallCon ticket, getting the 3 amazing certifications that are going to change your life going into the boom and next year. Because this thing is at the Orlando Marriott World Center, they're used to this. They probably handle 5, 6, 7,000 people coming through there. Massive parking garage. We're at a venue that is built for this, luckily. And that's part of why we're able to pull this off, because the venue can handle it. We could have never done this at Grand Prix. Yeah. We could never do this at the AIU building here. The Orlando World Marriott is massive. And so they can handle this fact that I'm throwing 2,000 to 3,000 people worth of extra pressure on them. With 2 weeks notice. Yeah. But hey, this is how we roll.
That's how you go.
This is how we roll, man. People are like, how do you build a brokerage so big in 3 years? You do things like this, right? You got to think, if we did what took 15 years for other brokerages in 3 years, we should damn sure be able to put together an expo in 2 weeks that would take somebody else 20 weeks. And we are showing that. This is how we roll at LPT.
That's right. Okay. So we are just about at time. We understand, hey, you got to invest in yourself if you want to invest in your business. You're going to do that with either time or money. You have the capacity to do both. And I really like the way you described, hey, listen, when you're shifting over money, when you're starting to pay for it, you're condensing how long it would normally take you. You're allowing someone else to do all of that work and all that time. And in exchange, you're going to give them this money for the shortcut. And I largely think that that's going to be available here, obviously, at FallCon, with you giving all these years of experience and all this time and effort and saying, hey, here's how to prepare for what's coming in the next year so that you can be ready for it. So I'm super excited about that. But with that being said, final thoughts for this week as we're about to hit Q4, final quarter of the year. It's crazy how quickly it's blown by. What should we be thinking about heading into this week?
Yeah, so look, man, so here we are. There's a handful of FallCon tickets left. They're $1,099 today. They're going up at midnight. I promise you, if you make that investment, it will be the best $1,000 you've ever invested in your business. You look at how much of LPT we've given away, we've made free. I take it really seriously that really we're saying, hey, this is so good, and we've made such an investment of time and the workbooks and all the knowledge that we're putting a price tag on this thing. And so first of all, if you are interested in that, if you want to set yourself up for that win in the boom, grab that last handful of FallCon tickets. I'm so excited. Again, I take that responsibility really, really seriously for those of you that trust me with that investment of both time and money to come watch what we're putting together for you on the FallCon stage. On the flip side of that, if the $1,000 just isn't in your budget, or again, you're at a point in your career where you can't make the investment of the 4 days, we're now opening up this Ascend Expo to come through. And again, you can spend the time. You can dig through all the different vendors. You can invest your time there. No cost to go to the expo. So again, we're just really trying to make sure we always meet everyone where they are. If you're local, we definitely expect you to drive in and come be a part of it. All right.
We'll be personally offended if you don't.
Personally offended if you don't. Going to be an absolutely amazing 4 days for our FallCon attendees, an amazing day or two for our Expo attendees. That's the cool thing with the Expo. You can drive in and come for 4 or 5 hours, hop on the Sunrail up from Miami. We'll get hours posted. The Expo will kick off most likely at 11 a.m. on Thursday and go till whatever kind of reasonable time at the end of the day, and then probably kick off 9 a.m. on Friday. We want to make it pretty much 2 full days on the expo. And again, that pink room, is going to be able to have 2,000 or 3,000 people come through it over those 2 days, which again is an amazing opportunity for people to come learn about LPT, meet our staff, touch our tools.
All right. Fantastic. Well, I'm excited for it. Looking forward to seeing, people from across the country here locally. And of course, like we said, if you are local and we don't see you, we're going to be upset. We're going to be personally offended. But okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for it. Looking forward to it. So I guess final words.
Yeah, guys, make it a great week. Last Monday in Q3, the quarter is almost over. We're going into Q4. Continue to do the hard things, right? We saw agents who were prepared be able to capitalize on that little bit of a boost we saw when rates came down a little bit. There was a lot of fence sitters who jumped. Folks who were ready were able to get deals under contract, get deals listed. Q4 is coming up. This massive boom, I think, is coming next year. Now, everything with the Fed and the economy is really lining up for next year to be the year that I think all of this breaks loose. And so we will catch you next week on Motivation Monday. Really excited to see everybody in a couple of weeks. But until then, make it a great week. Keep doing the hard work. Keep staying focused. Keep pushing through. We are Boomsday prepping here at LPT, and that boom is coming. Make it a great week, everybody.